Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on the Merry Wives of Windsor, and today we get to hear from Mr. Ford in Act 3, Scene 2. But oh my goodness, we just finished with Act 2, Scene 2 yesterday. So we've got a little bit of catch up that we need to do. This is going to be a long video, sorry, because we have to summarize a couple of scenes. But anyway, the stuff that's going on so far, everybody is in love with Anne Page, except for Falstaff, who wants to sleep with Mistresses Ford and Page so that he can get their money because they're in charge of the household finances. Mr. Page trusts his wife, Mr. Ford does not, so Mr. Ford has met with Falstaff under the guise of being Brooke and gave Falstaff a bunch of money with which to try to woo Mistress Ford. And Falstaff was like, yeah, I'm supposed to be at her place between 10 and 11 tomorrow. It's going to be great. So now Ford is feeling a bit like an idiot, but he wants to be able to catch his wife in the act if she is in fact going to cheat on him. So, Act 2, Scene 3, we're back on the other side of things. Remember, Dr. Caius is also in love with Anne Page, and he thinks, because of a sort of mixed up message, that Evans is trying to woo Anne Page. Evans wants Slender to woo Anne Page, but Caius issued a duel. He challenged Evans to a duel, and Caius is standing there like waiting for this duel to happen, and he's talking to Jack Rugby, who's sort of his bro, or his servant guy, whatever, and they're talking some crap about Evans. Because Evans isn't there, they're like, oh, he stood us up and blah, 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 blah. And then Page and Shallow and Slender and the host come in, and they're like, we're here to see the fight. What's going on? How's things going? And Caius is like, but he's not here. He didn't even show up, which I do because Caius is French, and it's like spelled that way, that he's supposed to have a pretty thick French accent, which Page and Shallow and Slender and the host proceed to make fun of, and they use some very specific English slang terms that Caius doesn't know, and then tells him the wrong definitions of those terms so they can like laugh at his lack of knowledge of English slang, that sort of a thing. But they're like, no, we know where Evans is, we'll take you there. And everyone except for the host and Caius and Jack Rugby leave, and the host is like, no. I know where Anne Page is. I'll take you to Anne Page. And Caius is like, that's even better. So they leave. And that's the end of Act 2, Scene 3. And actually, effectively, the end of Act 2. Because now in Act 3, Scene 1, we have Evans and Simple wandering around in a different field looking for Caius, because he did go to answer this challenge to a duel. He's just in a different place. So Evans is like, I'm going to hang out here for a second. Simple, like, go look around, see if you can find him. Evans sings himself a song. Simple comes back, and he's like, Caius is there. He has no weapons, but also my master, Shallow, is coming. So, and Page and Shallow and Slender enter, and there's a little bit of smack talk about Caius amongst those guys, and then Caius and Rugby and the host enter, and Caius and Evans both put on a fairly decent show of like, have at you and put down your weapons and let's fight like men and that sort of thing. But they're also sort of like, I don't really want to do this, and I think that we should be friends, and blah 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 blah. Until finally the host, they don't actually start fighting, and then the host is like, okay, fine, I admit it, I told you to go to different places because I don't want you to fight, because you're my doctor and you're my parson. So am I supposed to lose the guy who heals my body or the guy who heals my soul? Like, I couldn't make a choice. I don't want you guys to fight, so I told you to go to the wrong places. And he's like, come on, let's just everybody make peace and come with me, come back to the inn, and we can all like have a drink and laugh about it, that sort of thing. So the host, Shallow, Slender, and Page leave, and Slender just randomly through this whole scene has just occasionally been going, oh, sweet Anne Page, just to nobody, really. He just keeps saying it over and over. But anyway, the four of them leave, but Caius and Evans are still there for a second, and they don't like the fact that they've been fooled, that they were told to go to the wrong place, and now they're like, they don't really trust the host, because also Caius is like, the host said that he was going to take me to where Anne Page is, and he very much did not bring me to where Anne Page is. So they decided they should band together against the host and get revenge on the host for this, and they use the phrase smite his noddles, which I think is delicious. I don't know if it's supposed to be smite his noodles, but it is actually spelled Noddles, which I believe would be the head. But they are going to smite his noddles, which I think is adorable. And that's the end of Act 3, Scene 1. So now in Act 3, Scene 2, we start out with Mistress Page and Robin. They're just sort of walking down the street, and they run into Mr. Ford, who chats with them for just a moment. Hey, how you doing? All that sort of thing. And he jokes that if Mistress Ford and Mistress Page didn't have husbands, they'd marry each other because they're such good friends. And Mistress Page is like, yeah, actually, I was going over to see your wife. Do you know if she's home? And Ford is like, yeah, I think she is, and you should go see her. And he also remarks to Robin, he's like, remind me what your master's name is? And Robin's like, Sir John Falstaff. And Ford's like, oh, yes, that's right. That's it. Falstaff. That guy. And Mistress Page and Robin continue on down the street because they're going to go visit Mistress Ford. Because remember, Mistress Page knows the whole plot. She and Mistress Ford and Mistress Quickly hatched this whole thing. So Mistress Page is actually kind of going over to help Mistress Ford with this whole Falstaff should come over at 10 o'clock kind of a thing. But as soon as they are gone and Ford has a moment alone, he says, has Page any brains? Hath he any eyes? Hath he any thinking? Sure they sleep. He hath no use of them. Why, this boy will carry a letter 20 mile as easy as a cannon will shoot point blank 12 score. He pieces out his wife's inclination. He gives her folly, motion, and advantage. And now she's going to my wife and Falstaff's boy with her. A man may hear the showers sing in the wind, and Falstaff's boy with her. Good plots, they are laid, and our revolted wives share damnation together. Well, I will take him, then torture my wife, pluck the borrowed veil of modesty from the so seeming Mistress Page, divulge Page himself for a secure and willful Actaeon, and to these violent proceedings all my neighbors shall cry aim. The clock gives me my cue, and my assurance bids me search. There I shall find Falstaff. I shall rather be praised for this than mocked, for it is as positive as the earth is firm that Falstaff is there. I will go. So he's sort of re-upping himself. This was a very similar speech to the one that we had at the end of Act 2, Scene 2, where he's like, Page is an idiot, Falstaff is doing this thing, I'm going to get my revenge on him, and I'm going to make Page look like an idiot in the process too, and all that sort of thing. He's angry with his wife for going through this whole thing. He's like, and Mistress Page is complicit in it, and they've got Falstaff's servant boy involved, so there has to be nefarious things going on, and oh my goodness, it's 10 o'clock. I need to get there because I know that Falstaff is there right now, and I need to catch them all in the act. So he starts as if he's going to go, but then everybody that was out to watch the duel, so Slender and Shallow and Evans and Caius and Page and the host, they all come in and they're, isn't this a great day, stuff like that. And Ford is like, I need you guys to come with me. And Shallow and Slender and Evans are like, no, actually, we have a date with Anne Page, and she's supposed to give us an answer today about our suit to have Slender marry her, so there's no way that we're going to miss that. So we got to go take care of that. And Ford is only able to convince Caius, Evans, and Page to go to his home with him, and because Ford's like, okay, now I'm gonna have witnesses too. When we all like burst in and see my wife with Falstaff, I'm gonna have witnesses, and this is gonna be even better. So they part ways. Half of them go to visit Anne Page, half of them go to Ford's house to try to catch Falstaff in the act, and that's the end of Act 3, Scene 2. Whew. So yeah, we're getting there. We're gonna start to see some of these various plots and plans and all that sort of thing. We're going to see how successful they are when we come back tomorrow for more. I'll see you then. Mwah.